Um, I'm not sure why, Tim, but I'm wondering at this moment if maybe I should have rethought this idea of putting any props on to support the students. Um,
Well, I think you look very fitting for our next student,
yes,
who
thank you.
is going to tell us all about Dragon Tongue. Please welcome Cordelia Kelly.
So we'll start off with my video, and I hope you enjoy it. I created the concept of Dragon Tongue from my own experiences and love for community games like Dungeons & Dragons and fantasy languages like Sindarin from Lord of the Rings. I struggled to connect with those around me, and so I turned to books and games to learn about the world, and in those things, I found all of these wonderful made-up worlds and languages that were created simply because those people loved their stories and wanted to share them with everyone. These stories, worlds, and languages allowed me to see just how fun the real world could be, and they inspired me to create my own language, which actually helped me learn other languages. I want to make a collective place to connect to people around the world without the barrier of language, so we can bridge the gaps between opportunity and culture and talk to someone on the other side of the planet, or even just the seat next to us. I want to make a game where anyone can connect no matter where they are or where they're from. Dragon Tongue would help close the gaps between everyone today and help forge connections between all different kinds of people through stories and the creation and teaching of fictional languages that we can all enjoy and connect with. It would give opportunities to those who have none, and it would make connections possible between otherwise completely separated people. I want to make a gaming community dedicated to forming connections and breaking down language barriers between people around the world. Okay, so Dragon Tongue is my baby. This is something I'm extremely passionate about. This is my life. These are the kind of things I do in my free time, but also in any business I pursue. So I just wanted to share a little bit with everyone who I am and where this idea came from. This is a language I made years ago, 7, 8, 9, and that is a map I created through hours and hours of effort for a D&D game I run. And this is where I started forming my connections. And which brings me to my target audience. These are the people in my community who I want to reach out to. They're neurodivergent people, people like me, who struggle to form connections to others, who don't quite understand how to interact with the rest of the world, and they use these things, these languages, these games, to connect to other people. But it's also just artists and creators and gamers, and it's everyone around the world who I want to connect with, like-minded people, and anyone. But onto the business model, because there is a business behind this. This will be a for-profit B2C, and it will be a MMORPG, a massive multiplayer online game that will combine tabletop and role-playing games. So it will be accessible to anyone who would like to play, but it will also allow an escape. It is the kind of platform that will be multilingual, so it will be available to anyone around the world, and it will be accessible in multiple different languages, but it will also allow the creation of other languages so that you can connect over a language even if you don't know the same language in the real world. So for beginning development in year 1, we will do a Kickstarter campaign starting around 100K to 200K just for the first phase of development. Now, here is an example of a Kickstarter campaign that was funded in 10 minutes. it started with a base of $13,000 that they needed to raise for a card game. They got $285,000 within 24 hours. So there is funding behind this. There is an audience for this. This will be funded no matter what. Now, that salary will go to a 2 to 5 person team, as I cannot do this by myself. I do not have all the skills, but I want this to happen. So I will find people who have those skills and pay them what they need. This will require coding, art, and design, and pretty much anything that goes to in a game that you haven't even thought of yet. And that will also go towards game awareness. Social media, such as Reddit, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, wherever gamers might be and wherever people interested in this game might spend their time. But going on to beta launch year 2, testing and publishing will be the main source of game development as soon as the beta version is released. So that will be influencers and gamer beta testers, and that will inspire continued development, hopefully with a publishing company, as that will speed the process along quite a bit. But that will require an extra $100K to $250K to get that, and that will include Kickstarter stretch goals and sponsors to continue to fund that, as well as maybe a publishing company. Now, advertisement will be further on social media, but it will also include product clips for the general public. And finally, full release in future, distribution on a website, on Steam, and in app stores. And it will work on a freemium model with ads and custom editions depending on what product you use. Thank you. This is Dragon Tongue.
Awesome job.
Awesome.
Andy, you know I'm going to you first.
Yeah. I was hoping.
Andy has quite a lot of experience in building games, so.
Yeah, this is, for risk of it not sounding like a compliment, this is like the coolest kind of weird, like, that I can see, because it is like,
Full compliment.
Yeah. And it's one of those ideas too that I think, sometimes you could say you either get it or you don't, but when you're kind of in the headspace of Dungeons and Dragons and some of these games, like I totally get it. And I think, what is cool about it to me, and just like one piece of feedback, is that because of the interest in kind of creating that language, right, that new language as like a cornerstone to it, sometimes, an easy way to even get started and get momentum might be, and a cheaper way actually, is develop that type of community within other communities too. Because like right now, like things like Roblox and Minecraft and other different game platforms are also development platforms. And I've seen some really cool things kind of come up in the middle there, where it's like, well, in this particular world in Roblox, right, this is Dragon Tongue, and everybody starts to learn the language and starts to, you kind of play by the rules in there. And it is a game. I mean, you are programming. It's a little bit of a meta layer in there, but it is very cool. And then slowly that can expand out. Eventually, even if it is its own game, it's its own full-fledged MMO RPG. Excellent, right? But we all know what a long road that is because of the complexity and how that gets going. But I think very, very, very cool. Spot on with the Kickstarter too. This is like a perfect candidate for Kickstarter. I really like that. Very good place to find that audience that is super into this type of thing. So yeah, very good. Very well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Sabrina, you have a huge smile, and I'm curious to see what that's about.
Well, I mean, first of all, the creativity that you show in this, and that you clearly developed at such a young age. I mean, it's incredible. You have so much talent you don't even realize yet. But congratulations on this and on a great presentation. I just want to see if you can maybe condense the timeline a little bit and see if you can't squeak out an alpha version of this game within the first year. And maybe tighten that up a little bit. And that takes strategic thinking in terms of what makes, like, I hate the word minimum viable product because, you know, things that are minimal aren't necessarily viable, but you get what I'm saying.
It has to be playable to a
Right.
minimum degree.
Right. It has to be playable, but you can separate out like what is core and then what is the next ring outside of the core and then beyond that. Because it would be great to see this go to market sooner than what you have in your timeline.
I would love to shorten the timeline. It honestly depends on what people I can find to help me with this project, as I do not have the coding skills required, but if I can get this out within a year, that would be the most amazing thing.
Yeah. And then getting a publisher, you know, sooner rather than later through business connections, you know, I think it would be great to have this see the light of day sooner.
Thank
And
you.
Sabrina knows she has helped launch, thousands of tech companies. So yeah, she can guide you, with some of that.
Yes.
I'm volunteering you.
You got it.
Thank you.